I have had 3 dreams in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Number 1, to make myself truly immortal, unkillable, while completely AFK. And I have achieved this and perfected it. The second dream was to have monsters die to just my Palico, and me stood there using items and whistling for abilities, but no more than that. And I have done this and perfected it. But the third dream has proven elusive. It is a dream to combine dreams, to be completely immortal, unkillable, uncountable to any monster, while totally AFK, whilst at the same time the Palico kills it for you, unlocking the ability to automatically hunt without any input any creature you desire. A goal I have strived for and have failed to attain. Until now. Wait, before we get ahead of ourselves then, welcome to what I consider to be my, well, magnum opus. I love my quirky builds in World Iceborne, and I think being immortal and then using the Palico as your weapon have been 2 of my most triumphant ones. But the combination of them has always proved a challenge, because, quite simply, they counter each other. If you want to be AFK for the full 50-minute hunt and never cart guaranteed, your Palico needs to be on Vigor Wasp for that sweet, sweet green bug juice every 10 minutes. On top of you having the most defensive set possible that I built. That's all well and good, but the monster's going to be completely fine because nothing's really hurting it. So conversely then, if you would like the monster to die without you ever drawing a weapon, well, your Palico needs to be on Meowlatov, and it needs some input from you, item and whistling for gadget-wise. So this means that you're not AFK, and you're not truly immortal, because every now and then you're giving both you and your Palico a health potion. So it would seem then that combining them is impossible, and I always thought that too, but I had a little bit of a, well, stroke of genius, and this stroke of genius might come in the form of a, well, duh, why didn't you try that? And honestly, that's what I felt like. But I have managed to have it so that I can literally just not touch the game, the controls, anything, full AFK the entire 50 minutes and not die, while also my Palico is on Meowlatov and therefore will kill the monster for me. And it is glorious. So how have I done it? Well, the secret, the answer, the solution was in the form of the heavy bowgun.
Call this fire? You're making me want to sleep. Do something. Black dragon, but like bad dragon. I'm bored.
But before we get too excited over the fact that this build, yes, is completely immune to Fatalis himself, you can stand there and run out the entire quest timer without dying once, but at the same time, it's not going to have him die. Your Palico tries his best, but he's not quite that good. You see, the main source of damage from your Palico with the Meowlatov cocktail is the Meowcano, the big firework of raining death that explodes at the end. This is very potent. it does about 2,000-ish damage per use. Now obviously, it depends on a few factors. How weak the monster is to the element weapon the Palico is using, how many of the hits actually hit the monster, they can move out of it. Do the damage bits actually hit the weak part of the monster, or do they just do tiny grey damage? There is a certain element of, let's say, uncertainty to this, but I think about 2,000 from my testing on average is fairly reasonable, and the Palico will do this about every 5.5 minutes, which gives us 9 uses in a 50-minute hunt. So, that is obviously about 18,000 damage. On top of that, your Palico will do about 5,000 to 10,000 damage from his just general attacking and other abilities. Again, it's very imprecise because the Palico is annoyingly very random in its AI, and sometimes is an absolute master hunting god, and other times it's just stood there like, oh, where are we? So, you know, mileage may vary here, but on average we can expect 15 to 30,000 damage out of the Palico over the 50-minute hunt. Fatalis has 66,000 health in single player, so he's a little bit over double our maximum range here. But what is in our range, and I think also a very fitting target, the flagship of Iceborne, Velkhana herself. She works not just thematically, she's also incredibly weak to fire, which means when we give the Palico the optimum setup of the most fire element weapon, we can actually see some really impressive damage being applied to the Velkhana. And Velkhana has 23,000 health, so we even have a little bit of tolerance for slightly less good Palico huntering than it might otherwise be. So all that said and done, we just need to get to the hunt, go towards the... well, actually remember to, you know, bring the Palico.
Hello!
Okay, buddy, yep, come on. And then we go out. I like to put the Rocksteady on just to stop any early roars or anything like that. It's not really needed. Give the monster a little bit of a tickle, and then retreat to the nearest corner. Honestly, you don't need to be too precise. I have been knocked all over the place using this. It doesn't really matter, but this is nice wedging corner. And then we just stand there. We stand there for 50 minutes and let the Palico work. Now, obviously then, the bowgun, it has an auto block from the front when you put guard mods on it. This is key, but it's not just as simple as use a bowgun and put the guard mods on, because there is chip damage. There is times you will get hit and it won't be a block if you get hit in the back, or big area of effect attacks, or some attacks that come up from the ground don't get blocked. It's very kind of weird what is actually decided is blockable or not from certain angles, as I'm sure a lot of you heavy bowgunners have experienced with a kind of, what? How the hell did I not block that? Or at least I have. In any case, you need the iron build to back this up. You need to be wearing the Immortal armor to go with this auto-blocking shenanigans. And the auto-blocking really is key, because it's the only way to do this while AFK. You just stand there unsheathed, and even if you do get knocked to the ground when you stand back up, you will still be unsheathed. So the armor then, let's look at the fuel that makes this build burn bright. Well, it's kind of standard Immortal. I say that like standard Immortal is a thing, but apparently that's what I have made it, so there we go. 4 pieces of Fatalis for maximum defense and maximum slottage, and then 1 piece of Valhazak to go with an essence on the Safi'jiiva bowgun to make the 2 set, because the super recovery is mandatory. Apart from that, on the bowgun, you just whack defenses on, whack an extra slot, and you are good on that front. I'm not going to waste too much time, well, going into this. Let's just put the decorations in, but we're going to put them in epically! No! That was honestly quite satisfying. So, this is what we are working with then. We have our, of course, Palico Rally. Honestly, an absolutely potent skill, an extra bit of oomph to our Palico, and it really is noticeable. I'm so sad that Palico Rally Secret just wasn't a thing in Iceborne. That would have been so good. We then also want wide range, because what we can do is give our Palico both Demon Drug and Armor Skin, mega of both, at the start of of the hunt before we go AFK, just to make this that much more effective. We have the space for it, so why not? Of course, then, we have our maximum guard and our guard up, otherwise the whole auto-guarding thing kind of falls apart. We want to make that as strong as possible. And then we have ourselves the Divine Blessing, maximum secreted for the maximum damage reduction, defense boost for the same, and then the key here really is the tremor resistance. As long as we can't get tremored, our weapon will stay unsheathed, and the blocking will still happen. The recovery up and the recovery speed, of course, to power the Valhazak super recovery. Heroics just as a little bit left over. If we somehow manage to get that low, the extra defense will kick in. It really does kind of sort itself out here, and it's a very succinct to the point build. But it is, of course, undeniably effective. How effective? Well, we start AFK against the Velkhana. Time passes and passes and passes. The hunt goes on and on and on. Our Palico fights bravely, nobly, with every ounce of his cat-like strength. He throws grenades and fireworks and fires bazookas, slashes and darts and jumps. He is a goddamn champion, and he will make his Meowster proud. And his fury will be heard across the Iceborne Wyvern. And Velkhana will tremble and fall when the required damage is reached! Or the hunt will time out and the monster won't die. Huh, that's strange. Velkhana has 25,000 health. This comfortably deals that much damage, especially to Velkhana. She's especially weak to this. What's happening? Well, as it turns out, on test the second, 45 minutes into the hunt, I had a little bit of a wait a minute moment. Having tried to get monsters to kill each other in the past in World Iceborne, I remembered that they're physically not able to. They can only put each other to 1 health. They can't deal the killing blow. But in the old games, Palicos have been able to kill monsters. It's happened. It's quite a fun moment when it does. Is that changed? So I attack Velkhana once, for like 10 damage, and she immediately dies. Meaning she was in fact sat there on 1 health. I have confirmed this. Thus, what I have found is that Palicos literally can't get the killing pally blows. And that really does pally blow. I feel crushed. I am sorry that I led you on this far into the video, but I wanted you to go on the emotional roller coaster that I went on, having stood there, watching an AFK hunt play out to completion so many times to test this! And I'm so sad. On one hand, technically, yes, the Palico does solo the monster. It puts it to 1 health, and yes, you're immortal. You don't die for the entire process. And sure, you need to choose a monster with less than 30,000 health, and sure, it needs to be on a map with only 1 zone, one of the arena maps, otherwise the monster will change zone every 6 minutes, and then you'll just be stood there AFK not following it. Sure, there are conditions, but on a pure level, it is provably doable to both never die, be AFK, and have the Palico render the monster all but dead. But that all but is key. You need to do the final 1 damage. It's not fair. It's just not fair. Oh. So there you go, guys. That is the ultimate, yet ultimately sad, final, perfect Immortal Palico fusion build. Auto AFK hunting with the slightest conditional sting in its tail. I hope still you enjoyed this experiment, knowing this, sharing in my pain and my elation. And until next time, like you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and I will see you soon. Please consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below. Oh, goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.